Wait, what did Charlie Cox just say? Yeah, let's take a couple minutes to talk about what Charlie Cox said at a recent convention, referring to this season of Daredevil as the final season, and a costume that he said doesn't exist. Well, I have to say, probably my most anticipated Marvel television project coming up has to be the second season of Daredevil Born Again. Now, we've gotten a lot of set pictures when they were shooting on the streets in New York, and in those pictures we saw a brand new black costume for the Man Without Fear. We're also getting Jessica Jones returning in this season, and have had multiple teases of both Luke Cage and Iron Fist showing up in the series. Now, that costume got a lot of people talking, and recently Charlie Cox actually addressed the costume at GalaxyCon and talked a little bit about the leaks. Now, this is a pretty big clip. You're going to have to go on to GalaxyCon Live to check out the original video, because they are laying out some copyright claims. But Charlie Cox talks deeply about the various costumes that have showed up in this series, and then goes on to say, quote, "There's something we do in this final season that doesn't exist in the comics, so it is unique to our show, and I'm particularly excited about that." Now, obviously there's two things to address here, so let's talk about the costume first. Basically, what he's saying is, and he said this in the clip, we've seen multiple versions of the red costume, and the black costume, and even the gold costume that showed up on She-Hulk, but before the end of the season, we're going to see one that's never appeared in the comics, and obviously that could be pretty cool. Now, there was part of this quote that did catch people off guard, because he said, "There's something we do in this final season that doesn't exist in the comics," and it's those two words, final season, that's got people talking. Now, two things I want you to know here, because it's possible that Charlie Cox misspoke. Brad Winderbaum himself, he's head of Marvel Television and Streaming, he has said there are plans for multiple seasons of this show. So unless that's changed since he said that less than a year ago, well, it seems like Daredevil's reappearance was almost assured. Now, also, if you watch the whole clip, and nobody else is really talking about this, if you watch the whole clip of Charlie Cox talking about the costumes, he actually talks about Born Again as Season 2, and doesn't call it the final season. So I think given those two details, well, it's pretty clear to me the show is not going away at the end of Season 2, and this was probably a misspeak by Charlie Cox. He's probably kicking himself in the face right now because it's blown up into such a huge story. Now, also consider the possibility that this Daredevil show had a subtitle, Born Again, and it sounds like they're wrapping up that Born Again storyline. So consider the possibilities that Season 3 could be another subtitle for Daredevil. It could be Daredevil Man Without Fear, it could be Daredevil, insert any of your favorite comic storylines into the title. So don't quite jump to conclusions, because Brad Winderbaum has said on more than one occasion this is what they're going with, and they intend on multiple seasons. Also consider the possibility that with Jessica Jones appearing in this season, and maybe Luke Cage and Iron Fist, well, the stories of the Marvel heroes of the streets of New York could continue, but in the next upcoming year, maybe we get a Jessica Jones show where Matt Murdock makes a guest appearance. So the character lives on, we get to continue to follow their adventures, and it's still an annual show, with each season kind of refocusing on a different character or a different larger story. Marvel has said they're only going to do one live action series a year moving forward, and I don't think they would want to contain it just to Daredevil, so maybe they're expanding it to those street level heroes, and we'll get kind of a rotating cast with guest appearances for each character. Whether that works out, well, we're going to have to wait and see. Before we take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC news, and we want to bring you all the news truthfully and transparently, so you're really in the know.